I was learning boundaries at the same time while understanding the shit that I went through as a young kid.
Yeah.
Being like, holy shit, like this actually happened. It's traumatic, you know?
Yeah.
So when it's suppressed so much, you don't notice how it affects, around you.
And now for my next number.
I don't think y'all ready for this.
I'd like to return to the classics.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary familia, welcome to the JTX podcast.
Welcome.
Everybody, hello. Welcome to a new episode of the JTX podcast. My name is Jason Tamer, or Jesse, whichever you prefer. Today's episode is a little bit different. So I'm sure you saw in the last episode where I talk with my homegirl Cyan. So we go into depth about confidence and stepping out of your comfort zone and such. There's another part to that episode, and I decided to cut it out because it was long enough to be its own episode. So in this episode, we kind of go over what made me want to get into nude photography. But I go into some serious stuff also. So this will be, I guess, a trigger warning if you want to take it as that. But I think it's important for people to watch this. And, we all go through stuff in our life where, hopefully this can be something that can help you. With that being said, I'm not entirely I have not entirely figured my whole shit out in my life. But for me, I just wanted to put it out in the open regardless. Cool? All right. So if you like what you see, there we go. If you like what you see, please don't be afraid to subscribe. Leave comments. Go for it, Check out my website, jasontamer.com. Check out my Instagram, @jasontamer. Those are my mainly my two social medias. Also, if you see me pacing right now, I'm actually still in my hotel room. By the time this goes up, I'll be way out of vacation. And even like this, I don't even know if it's a vacation and such. But sit back, relax, and enjoy. Oh my God, this is going to sound so narcissist. Enjoy the catalyst, Jason Tamer. You gave me a whole list. I just noticed too.
I gave you a whole list.
A whole list of things you were like wanting to talk about.
Oh, I wrote down on my notes actually.
Go for it. Bring it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the thing that I sent you is different from the notes that I made.
I mean, we're an hour in, so let's get into it.
Okay. Wait, do you edit this? Do you crop this? Okay. I was like, this podcast is gonna be long.
if it's a 3-hour episode, it's gonna be a 3-hour episode. I don't care about it. But we're just shooting the shit, whatever they call it. I love talking.
Yes.
With people.
Okay, so I know that I actually texted you saying that I would not want to talk about nudity and sex, but I did come up with some interesting topics that I want to ask that do kind of relate to that.
Go for it.
So actually the first question to you is, how did you find out about your expression through nudity photography? And how did that blossom?
So it's funny you say that. I was thinking about that today too. One thing people might not know about me or might not understand about me is that sex was always a thing, not in my circle. Okay, so I watched my first porn video when I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that bad. Yeah, it was that bad. Fast forward.
Did you know what it was, or
It was
you were
a
like,
naked woman, pixelated as fuck. Like, this is what 30. What is it? Because 1080p. This was like 30p. Like that bad. Like very pixelated.
yeah,
It was like a New Year's too. My cousin had a computer, 1999. He just jacked in the computer, through wire, and a
did
naked woman
he
came
show
out.
you?
Yeah,
or?
he showed me.
Oh,
he showed me.
Oh my god.
It was in
How
the,
old was he?
He was older. He was probably like a 16, 17, something like that. Yeah.
Dude, he shouldn't be showing you that as a 5-year-old.
It's gonna get worse right now. I just without
Oh my
going
God.
to it does get worse. 6, 7. I met a girl who was a little bit older than me, and she was kind of like my first kiss, but there was more things involved. Mind you, I was like 6 or 7 at this time.
But was she doing it, or you?
It was her.
Oh, okay.
It was her, like, towards me. Fast forward to age 9, 10, 11, around those 3. I was, and I'm gonna put it as PG as possible. It's gonna be as PG as possible. I was assaulted multiple times at that age.
I'm sorry.
Hey, man. So on top of that, my cousin and my brother would show porn because they were teenagers, they would also show porn. So like I would see all of that.
Yeah.
And then they also would invite, because we had a pool at my house at that time, and they would invite a bunch of girls from their high school to just come to the pool, and they would have a party and shit would happen. So like that was always in my view, in a sense. And then on top of that, I grew up in a very religious household, which was very conservative and very strict with a lot of things.
Yeah.
So my sexuality was very much repressed because of that. So, and that's when, turned 18, 19, lost the weight, started being more social, and all these things happened. So, people have to understand that first part. When I started doing photography, it wasn't to just photograph. I did it for fun because my ex at the time broke up with me, and I just started shooting.
Yeah.
But I met somebody who on Instagram who did modeling, and he had a partner who also did Polaroids. So I was able to, I asked him, if I could shoot with him, and we shot, and he showed me just a bunch of shit, like, oh, this is what, you could do Polaroids. We did a nude shoot, and from there on, it just expanded to other people wanting to shoot with me. And I got into the kink community with them, and just, like, I started learning more about BDSM. I was into BDSM before that, but it was just like I never knew how in depth it was.
Yeah.
So my photography was just me capturing as much as possible of everything that I saw, and it felt freeing, and it felt great because I was learning boundaries at the same time while understanding the shit that I went through as a young kid.
Yeah.
Being like, holy shit, like, this actually happened. It's traumatic, Yeah. So when it's suppressed so much, you don't notice how it affects, around you. People start calling you things, and you just don't know.
Yeah, and then like,
go.
to say a little note, but yeah, people don't really know your backstory.
No.
So they assume that you're a pervert or a creep. And I think that's a big stigma for a lot of photographers who shoot nude, or just people who are like into BDSM in that community. Like, they just assume that they're perverts, but really, like, it's an art form. And also, like, now hearing about your backstory, like, it kind of was a part of your life, and even though it was an oppressed situation as a child, you kind of turned it into something,
beautiful, and it blossomed.
Something beautiful.
So, and what you said, that photographers, people assume photographers are perverts and creeps.
Like, yes, it could happen.
Yes, but also I can't blame people for thinking that, because in truth, there are a lot of photographers who would do shit and use, I guess, like a power dynamic to do these things. There are. With that being said, like we were talking earlier, I don't care what you think of me, because I've been through more than enough to come out of it and be like, I know who I am as a person. I know what I'm capable of, and I know the beauty that I've created. And you might not see that beauty, and that's okay, because that's subjective.
Yeah.
But I know the things that people have told me, being like, I've never seen myself like this before. What we made was beyond beautiful. This is one of my favorite things I've ever done. You and your Polaroids, all these things.
Yeah.
In a sense, is reassuring and validating me that I am doing right, and I'm okay with me being me.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool thing that you are actually a part of the community of photographing just bodies and like people who are comfortable with being nude, because that's actually a experience for them. And even to just see themselves in a camera view of their physical self, and sometimes that makes them love themselves even more. It's really cool that you're doing that, and my respect for nude photographers kind of definitely skyrocketed since I got to know you and since I got to shoot with you. I mean, like, to be like truthful, like I didn't really know a lot about nudist photographers, and that it was even like an art form, and I did categorize it. I mean, I categorized it as like porn, like, because it like does fall into that category. But I did,
and
think,
I can't
like,
blame you for it though. I can't blame you.
I mean, people who don't know about it, like, they think that, and I think that's a normal reaction. But I didn't really know a lot about it, and so I thought it was like, why do people do this, and like, why are models comfortable with doing this? And I didn't really understand the art form that much. But once I realized that a lot of the models actually started doing it because they wanted to see their physical self in another point of view, and they started actually learning to maybe even love themselves through these photography pictures, and just have fun with it, like,
for sure,
in general. Like, it was just really cool to understand that and realize that, and understand that it is like an art form, and it is a type of hobby or even job that has people, I guess, knowing like to love themselves more in a way. So to have a profession that lets people see themselves in a different light and even love themselves more is pretty cool, that you're doing these things for these models.
I mean, the collaborate. I can't speak. The collaborations in it makes it all worth it, for sure. I'm a firm believer when two people are in the same mindset and are as comfortable as possible, which is why I always try to make that environment as comfortable as possible. You create some of the most amazing pieces of work out there. Not everybody's gonna see it, and that's totally okay. But it's like, you both created something beautiful. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you were saying, you thought it was porn. I've made porn, so I mean, like, some porn can be considered art also in itself, and of course, it varies from eye to eye. It's just, I guess, it's teaching people, I guess, if they want to. Nudity is a big taboo.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like the biggest taboo in society.
Truth. That's why we have people with like free the nipple and a lot of feminism just being like, hey, why can't women show their bodies while guys are able to show a lot of parts of their bodies? And I totally get it. I am with you on that. But it does come down to the fact that, a lot of ideologies create this mentality that you should be as pure as possible. You should not do these things. You should not show these things. And it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm, not that I'm no longer religious, I fight against that mentality. Because if somebody wants to walk shirtless, go for it. Like, I don't trip off of it. And then people would say, well, what about the children? And it's like, you're right. Like, I understand that. But also there should be a way of approaching that situation too.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I understand why it's a societal taboo because of younger children.
Yeah.
Like, I totally understand that. And I
Yeah.
think that boundaries should be in place because of
True.
children.
True.
But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, like, I think expressing yourself, I mean, definitely, especially online where you can kind of monitor kids not saying it, rather than like, in person.
I mean, to an extent, though.
To an extent, yeah, to an
Yeah.
extent. But on the other side, I think expressing yourself and even being like, it just comes down to also being comfortable with your own body enough to want to like share it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about like being shirtless, like even just in a bikini or something that's just like not
lingerie or something.
bikini.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like full nudity.
Full nudity, yeah.
But that's still looked down upon on social media, and well, in person obviously, but on social media as well. Like, it's looked down upon, and it's like strange because when there is totally a thing where I know a lot of people that I follow that post bikini pictures on the beach, and that's like totally normal. I see that post all the time with girls on Instagram. They post a picture of themselves when they're on a beach day in a bikini, and totally fine. But once it comes to taking a photo in lingerie, or even just like if you're in a kind of sexual pose but still in a bikini, it's like a totally, for some reason, different ballpark. And people don't like that. Like, people wouldn't post, usually people don't post themselves in lingerie, but they totally are fine posting themselves in a bikini at the beach. And I totally get that because like lingerie is more of a like intimate bed thing, and bikini is like a public thing. But at the same time, like, I just think however you want to express yourself online is fine with me. Like, if you want to show lingerie pictures, like, that's queen shit right there. Like,
for sure.
I mean,
you see celebrities sometimes at these galas and events, and they're wearing lingerie. They're not wearing a regular dress. They're wearing full-on actual see-through lingerie. And if they want to do that, go for it. Yeah. And that is, in a sense, breaking some boundaries, but it's just like they're doing it, but then there's going to be people who are always talking shit about it,
Yeah. There's always people who are not comfortable with it, so they talk shit about it. Yeah, I mean, I think personally for me, I also want to try and be more confident in my physical body as well. And I want to, it would be cool and it would be something I'd be interested in if I were to post a lingerie picture on my Instagram account. But the thing that holds me back is that basically,
Family.
yeah, my family
Always,
follows
yeah.
me on Instagram,
Mhm.
so I wouldn't want them to see that. But at the same time, I'm like, well, damn, like I really want to express my confidence,
For sure.
on these platforms
For
and
sure.
like say, hey, I'm like feeling myself, so I wanted to share that.
Mhm.
But family does kind of it does prevent me from doing these things.
So you saying that, I mean, like I said, I grew up in a very religious environment. All right,
Mhm.
so hardcore Christians, a lot of them, to the point where it's like you're gonna go to hell type of thing.
Mm.
For everything I do. I was very strong in the religion. Like I was to the point where I wanted to become a pastor. I
Mhm.
would play in worship, like the worship bands that play songs for God or whatever. I was the leader, like the front leader.
Mhm.
I spoke in tongues, which is like a very big deal in religion. Some of them. I was very much strong into this. All right.
Yeah.
So when I got out and then eventually became the photographer that I am and started doing nudity, everybody, including people who I was in the church with,
Mhm.
they talked about me. They were like, holy shit, Jesse, he was this big person for God, and all of a sudden he's doing things for the devil and all these things.
Yeah.
But it also got to the point where people started shunning me, where they were
Mhm.
like, don't associate yourself with him because he's going to try to get you to take naked photos with him. Shit like that.
Mhm.
It's hard. It's hard, especially when it comes from family. It's hard when it comes from friends.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, thankfully, I had an amazing best friend who, I mean, he's my brother. He was that safe person, but he also like kept me accountable in my shit.
Mhm.
He in a sense, he taught me how to keep going and being okay with the fact that, it's you're doing this not only for yourself, but you're doing this for helping other people in a sense. Now, I'm not saying I'm Saint Teresa in this shit, being like, oh, I'm helping people doing nude photography. No, it's more of like the you have a power. Like for you, if you were to post a lingerie, that's a power that not a lot of people are able to do.
Mhm.
And you're going to be able to give that confidence to other people.
Yeah, that's how confidence starts on social media.
Exactly. So because you gave that confidence, it keeps spreading and it spreads and it spreads.
Yeah.
And you don't know, what that other person that you gave that confidence to would be capable of one day. For all you know, they might break certain boundaries that is very much needed to be broken right now in the future. So
Mhm.
it's okay to think about your family, but how long are you going to let yourself keep having that mentality
Mhm.
when you want to do something that you love and you feel in your heart that you really want to do?
Yeah. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, I mean, I do want to get past that point of not really like, if I really do want to do this, like post a picture because I feel confident, I do want to do that and not feel bad about doing that. I think there is like a whole stigma though. I mean, obviously there still is of like, oh, I won't get a job because of what I'm posting. Job sites will look at it and not want to hire me anymore. And I actually think that's like the number one concern that my family would have if they were to see that I like want to post pictures in lingerie or a bikini or something like that. Because the first thing they would say is like, well, job sites might look at your account and I'm just warning you, like, they may consider this in, hiring you. And, like, I know that they're probably right, where I can't control what job sites think of me. So if they do see that information, then, you know, like, I can't control if they hire me or not.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I wish, I guess, society was a bit different where we embraced our bodies more and it wasn't a taboo thing where
Yeah.
it would affect your job, you know, or affect your career.
For sure.
And
that's
so I think about that a lot.
That's why I say women have it a lot harder, for sure, when it comes to a lot of things with this in this realm right now. You know, that's what we're focusing on.
Yeah.
The issue is it's not as much as that. You know, it's more of the image of the company,
Yeah, the image of the company.
but also the annoying ass guys that would probably harass you throughout the whole time because they found a nude photo of you or because they saw you in a certain pose.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the horrible part. The fact that a lot of guys, sure, I mean, you know, a lot of guys in general, they don't know boundaries. They don't know how to approach situations, and they think with their dicks instead of their heads.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the issue. So I can't blame you. I really can't. Your family is totally in the right if they were to say that.
Yeah, I know that they're right in saying that. And it is, like, true.
Mm-hmm.
What they're saying is true about jobs wanting to keep a certain picture about their employees.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of just the unfortunate thing about wanting to be expressive and confident in yourself, that you can't really make it public. It, like, pretty much society, like, wants to keep your confidence, at least sexual confidence, to yourself, not really publicly. And I think that kind of sucks for a lot of creatives, and people who want to express themselves, and maybe, like, posting publicly helps them gain confidence.
Yeah.
And that's looked down upon a lot. So,
but that's why but that's why a lot of people are starting to be more what's it called? They self-work. They have like their own job, you know. They're not working for a corporation anymore. They do their own thing, and they do things like this. Like a lot of the models, what was it? The last model that I shot with, that's her. She does her own thing, you know. And I give her props because of the type of photo shoots that she's done. It's just beyond phenomenal. But it's very, like, out there in front of your face. If she were to try, I don't know, to work for a hotel chain, I mean, that would suck. But also, I would say you're too good for that, or you're too good for a corporation to work for. If anything, I think this is the perfect time to really start for you to start putting your seeds in creating the next generation of something.
Yeah, I think boundaries, and, like, when I say boundaries as in, like, people are opening up boundaries for others, and inspiration, because it is true, like, it revolves around that. I mean, I speak from, like, experience when I say that if I see someone that I follow on Instagram posting a picture of themselves confidently, and it's not a big deal, I'm like, well, damn, I want to do that now.
For sure.
And actually, there's an example of this artist that I follow. I look up to her so much because she does her own artwork and she makes her own living off of it. She makes like 6 figures off of her own artwork, and self-employed, runs her own business, doesn't work for anyone. Like, I look up to her a lot. But another reason why I look up to her is because I think maybe since she works for herself, she posts a lot of lingerie pictures on her art account. And I just think that's really admirable to me, that she can post herself and, like, be like, hey, I feel sexy, so I'm I want to post like this lingerie piece that I got and still have a successful business on the same account. I just think that's really cool, and I definitely like wanted to do that, and maybe still want to do that, where like I have a business but I could still like express myself and still post photos of myself that I feel confident in. So I look up to her a lot.
And if you want me to tell you right now, I know for a fact you can do that. I know for a fact this is a better time for you to, like I said earlier, plant those seeds for you, and you've planted your seeds to make your art into something bigger than what you know it can be. But we also have to keep in mind, you know, the things that this person, your favorite artist, has gone through.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably something that they haven't been outspoken about, maybe.
She has been, for sure.
Okay. So, you know, I know we've been talking a lot of quotes, but there's a quote that I like that says, smart people learn from their own experiences. Wise people learn from other people's experiences. So what's the best way for you to get to that point in your life that you want to get to that, you know, and navigate through other people who have gone through that.
Yeah. Because she's so confident in what she posts, she's gotten a lot of shit for it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And fuck people.
Yeah.
Fuck people. I mean, maybe you can go fuck off if you're going to talk shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think people who are around my parents' age, like millennials and baby boomers, they probably have this taboo that sex like is bad for career.
It's just hilarious
career opportunities
because a lot of them are
and
probably hippies. So
yeah, exactly, right. But they have this thing where it's like, if you have like a sexual account, or if you post like yourself in lingerie or even bikini pictures and show off your skin, basically, then that will minimize your chances in getting a successful career or like a job, like a high-paying job in a corporation. And yeah, like they might be true about that. But at the same time, I see many examples, like the artists that I follow, of they're confident, they post themselves in lingerie, and yet they like are making tons of money because they did it themselves and they've created this empire.
True.
So
True.
I mean, it can't like I think it should be changed around where people should still express themselves and still be successful.
And it is, you know, slowly we're seeing it. Only time will tell at this point with people who have OnlyFans accounts.
Yeah.
Right? Because OnlyFans is fairly new. Also, we have to keep in mind that a lot of these people who are saying these things, they grew up in a generation where they didn't have what we have right now.
Yeah.
So we are utilizing our resources to best create our empires. So yeah, it's sex is sex. It's normal. We all like to fuck. So, other people,
Unless you're asexual, but yeah.
huh?
Unless you're asexual.
But true, I'm not asexual, so I can't speak on things like that. But
No, I know, but
I can
majority of people,
yeah, for sure. But I can assume like you can at least see the beauty in sex, right? Like you might not want to fuck, but you can see the beauty in an art piece of a sexual art piece or something.
Yeah.
So it is time to break all of those boundaries. I believe a lot of those, but not all of them. A lot of them. I always use the best example where America loves guns, hates sex. Japan loves sex but hates guns. And the reason why
That's funny.
It is funny because in Japan,
That's so true.
It's true, yeah. Because in Japan, like, you know, you have so many love hotels to just rent for an hour and do the dirty and leave. Meanwhile, here you have to pay what, like $200 for a night at a hotel and shit like that. You have so many sex stores in Tokyo. Here, I can only think of like 20 just in the Bay Area, and I'm sure there's more. But
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is prevalent in a lot of anime where sex is more public and not a taboo.
that's why I love anime. 'Cause
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good thing that they're very open about it. But at the same time, I'm not sure if Japan also has a high rate of sexual assault because of that.
They do. So, putting my glasses on. One of the biggest issues that they had, especially with trains, was that there were a lot of chikan, which is groping of women in trains. It got to the point where they had to have certain trains for just like what I don't know what you call it, but it would be for women only. Like no men can go inside that.
That's crazy
Yeah.
that they had to take that boundary.
They had to, because it was just so much. And a lot of their laws when it comes to accusing somebody isn't like here. So it was a lot harder to be able to arrest a lot of the men who would do shit like that. Yeah, I mean, it is pretty bad. I haven't really looked into it as of late, but it has been pretty bad. Also, a lot of the porn out there, it's so crazy. Not crazier. It's a lot more explorative compared to the stuff here. So I
Yeah.
guess maybe that subsides a lot of like the assaults. But I know it still happens. Like, what country doesn't have sexual assault?
Oh, yeah.
Right? But yeah.
Do you think, I'm not too sure about this,
Go
but
for it.
do you think because Japan is so open about sex that there's more confidence in women, in Japanese women, or?
So I've dated, not a lot, but I've dated my fair share of Japanese women, and I think there's a balance to an extent where it's not that they're confident, it's just more of like the aggressiveness of Western guys that they have. So I'm Latino, all right? So for me, I'm a very sensual, very passionate, very sexual, very confident guy. If I were to be that full with a woman that I dated at the time, definitely it would put her off a lot because they're not used to that.
Yeah.
Even like with like me and Rin, we talked about this multiple times. Japanese guys are very passive, so even with showing affection, it's not there. But with that said, a lot of Japanese women are, what would be the best way? Are more,
Explorative?
yes, but that's not the word I'm looking for. I guess like they, from what I've seen and from what I've talked about with people, they wish a lot more guys were more forward about their intentions than, just passively
Yeah,
saying.
I find that ironic that Japan is very sex positive, but yet apparently Japanese men they don't really show that
They're
that
passive.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They call it this is my friend.
I wonder why that is though.
Bacon wrapped asparagus, or was it asparagus wrapped bacon? I don't want this to.
What does that mean?
So that means, oh no, I'm bacon wrapped asparagus. So bacon wrapped asparagus. You know how hard and meaty bacon is,
Yeah.
and you wrap it around something so soft like asparagus. So
Asparagus is
it's like a hard shell and a soft sole.
Oh, okay.
So and then there's an opposite thing which I forgot the what Rin told me.
Hard sole and
It's
soft shell.
It's more of like a soft shell and a hard sole.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I cut you off. What were you saying?
No.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I wonder why Japan is so sex forward, but men there are apparently very passive. Like,
Well, a lot of the sex forwardness is because of the declining birth rates. Like, let's be forward.
I remember learning about that.
This is a very big thing. Even right now, a lot of. So I'm not a master of Japanese culture. I was a president of the City College Japanese Culture Club there, but I've done my studying. There's a lot of birth rates declining, but where a lot of the birth rates are starting to increase is with Japanese blood and international blood, because it's harder for it's harder right now to be able to like have a family in Japan and pay for that, because of work.
Yeah, the work culture.
The work culture is horrible out there. Deaths have happened because of it. And it's just, if you think about it, nobody wants to be intimate with their partner after having 12 hours of work.
Yeah,
work day.
that makes sense.
I
was like, we should have Ren here on the podcast.
I've had him here like 3 times. And
Has he ever been on the podcast?
Yeah, of course, 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like
Ren, you'll be on the podcast with the 2 of us next time.
Well, you're gonna have to come to Japan with us if that's.
Oh
the
my
case.
god,
I'm heading out there.
I would love to.
We're gonna record a lot out there, so. But it's true. And that's why. They push a lot for these things because, not a lot of people are having kids now.
Yeah, I remember learning about that, where there were a lot of elders in Japan, but there were not a lot of children. There were more elders, I think, than children at a time. And that was crazy to hear about. So that makes sense that they're pushing this sex propaganda because of that. I think maybe that's like the driving reason.
But it's still, though, let's not give them too much props. They're still prudes in a lot of aspects. They do look down on a lot of women who are very sexual open. I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
I love.
Is it still a taboo to be confident?
It's not a taboo. Yes. So
in Japan.
It is. So I'm gonna finish my thought with, I love that things are starting to be more open out there, but people suck because, like, people, they call them health services, where people who work go to other people's houses, and it's not prostitution, to be exact, but it's more of like to relieve yourself in a sense. And it helps especially with people who aren't as confident with the opposite sex. So that's pretty awesome, I think. Anyways, going back to it.
That's cool.
It is cool. It's definitely like a, yeah. It is looked down upon, not to be confident, but to be an individual. So if you're somebody who has a different color hair, and it's not black or brunette or whatever, a lot of people will look down upon you, especially if they're older. So.
Yeah, I find that interesting too, because I think Japanese culture, at least because of a lot of anime shows, and since it's been popular for a while, I would think that a lot of expression with Japanese people would be like dyed hair and to kind of look like a main character in a way, because of these animes that project characters having like crazy color hair and stuff like that. So I would think that would be a big trend.
I always tell people my experiences when I went to Japan the first time. I cosplayed. A lot of people were looking at me, and then I found out that people who cosplay don't wear their cosplay on trains. Like, I was in a train when I was cosplaying, but a lot of people who cosplay don't put on their costumes until they get to the location where they're going to be and change in the bathrooms, because technically a police officer can't come talk to you if you're dressed very differently. because you're disturbing the peace in a sense.
That's
So,
interesting.
Yeah, it's.
Because of like you're disturbing the work culture or something.
I mean, I don't know about the work culture. It's just it's the same thing with people who skateboard. It's okay to skateboard, but a lot of police officers will stop you if you're skateboarding, and they'll try to make up this shit, being like, "You're not supposed to do that here." There's if you're different, you in a sense will be talked to or called out on, and that's why a lot of people don't have their individualism. You know, it sucks. It sucks a lot because creativity really is a catalyst to make more people explore different things and become better and change lives. So.
Yeah. I think that's why a lot of maybe creativity is online mostly. Yeah. And not really public.
Yeah. Also,
I have. Oh, no, go on.
No, go. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just saying I have more questions.
I know, that was just barely the first question, bro. No, what's the other one? Go for it.
Wait, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, yeah, it's... What the fuck was I going to say?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right. I forgot. I literally forgot.
Squeeze your fist, because apparently, like, squeezing your fist really tightly helps bring back your memory. I heard that at least.
No.
Okay. Let's see. Actually, we kind of talked about these other questions, but let me move on to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
All right. I think this is a question for like anybody who is going to watch this podcast and wants to hear it. But I'll read it. So self-confidence is the biggest thing that people pay attention to about themselves, at least in my point of view. They try and find things that make them love themselves, whether that's having a dream job, owning certain items, or changing their physical appearance. Do you believe that embracing one's own sexuality, whether on a public or private level, is a good way to achieve self-confidence? We kind of talked about this already, but yeah, like what's your answer for that?
Embracing somebody's sexuality.
Embracing
your
one's own sexuality is a good way for self-confidence.
I think it's a good piece of the puzzle, but I don't think it's all of it, because once again, I mean, I could speak for other people to an extent because of conversations I've had, but I'll speak for myself. I embraced my own sexuality, meaning I was like, yeah, I like to fuck. Yeah, I like to go out and do all these things. But that wasn't confidence. You know, I could go up and flirt with women, but that wasn't confidence, though. You know, it wasn't until I accepted that maybe the way I approach things isn't the best way, and it's like you humble yourself, and that's where you start learning true confidence.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I might be wrong, it's okay to be wrong, what's the next step? And that's the fact that you're open and receptive to learning. That's where true confidence starts coming in.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a big puzzle. It's a good step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you feel about people who are overconfident in themselves and egotistical?
How do I feel about them?
Yeah, like you don't have to say names or anything, but
no,
do you
he knows who he is.
Okay.
I don't think he's gonna watch
well,
this.
Do you know people, or maybe even heard about some people that like embrace their sexuality too much to a point where it's like they're showing off, or like they're being too egotistical?
No, that
was selfish.
Definitely. I mean, I used to have a superior, I guess, without being too specific. He overlooked everything me and my team did, and he was that egotistical, like way cocky, extremely too cocky. He was a sexual being, for sure, to the point where allegedly, and I'm going to say allegedly, there were a lot of stories about them, in the place of work with other people. And it wasn't even that put me off, because, I was that, I definitely was that. It was more what put me off is that belittling others.
Yeah.
And thankfully I had started to just move away from what he was, because when it got to a point where I noticed that was going to be me. I would have belittled people and would have made people extremely uncomfortable about situations. So I think it varies case by case. I can understand why you got to that point, because I almost got to that point. The question is, do I want to associate myself with you?
Yeah.
What do I have to gain from associating myself with you? And in reality is, I'm not going to gain anything. I'm not going to learn from you. If anything, I'm going to learn what not to do from you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Even though I am learning to be more expressive and be confident in my physical body, I do still think that there are certain types of people on social media that I'm not going to say show their bodies too much, but like are too like egotistical about themselves.
But see, my question for you in that case would be, how do you know that they're egotistical if you haven't spoken to them?
Yeah, that's true.
Because
it is a judgmental thing. And
that's okay. I'm not, we all judge. And whoever says this bullshit saying don't judge others, that's bullshit. We all judge.
Yeah.
If we see somebody who's attracted to us, or if we see somebody we're attracted to, like, they're going to judge us from appearance right away, or we're all going to judge.
Yeah.
But the thing is, how do you know somebody is this without having had the conversation, or without getting to see the beyond the surface level?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like, I don't know them as a person. I judge them based off of what they post and sometimes how they say things on social media that sound like they're an egotistical person. But yeah, you're right. I could be wrong. And I don't know the backstory.
But also, do I really care to want to know? Probably not.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
We could all judge Kanye because he's somewhere out there right now. That dude is just...
He's out there.
He's somewhere out there. Fuck, dude. He wore recently a mask, a white mask. It looked fucking freaky as fuck. But it reminded me of a hentai that I watched a long time ago. And I had to like double check to make sure, and they look fucking exactly alike.
Oh,
so
my God.
I think this dude watches hentai. That's what I'm trying to say. Is it allegedly, though? It's allegedly. Don't sue me, Kanye. Don't sue me. Yeah.
He's going to come on here.
Yeah, right. Just say some crazy ass shit. Yeah, man. I am jealous of you, and I hope you know that. I am extremely envious of you, because a lot of the things that you're learning right now is shit that I learned a long time ago, and I fucking wish I could learn them again. Like, once you learn it, it's like when you beat a video game for the first time that you fucking loved, and then you replay it, and it's not gonna have the exact same feeling. Like, sure, it's gonna feel awesome, or it's gonna bring nostalgic memories, but it's not the same as if the first time you did that. So keep going at it, I think.
Are you talking about like learning life lessons and learning how to be a better person?
I think it's more than just that. And I don't mean to disrespect you by saying this. I think it's more than just the surface level of learning life lessons. I think it's specific to learning how to be confident again, learning how to walk on this journey and learning that you don't need the validation from other people, but knowing how to communicate to other people that are important in your life that you do need the validation sometimes.
Yeah.
And
No, I mean,
yeah.
to continue off of that, like, I am still really bad at needing validation from people. I mean, that's kind of where my brain goes a lot of the time, where it's like...
But there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's where I'm getting at. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's nothing wrong with wanting validation, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to be appreciated and loved. And I think everyone wants that. I think, though, I could definitely work on, like, I think I overestimate what people are actually doing, and, like, I over expect things. So...
And that's your journey right now. That's your lesson that you're learning.
Yeah.
You know, and you're gonna fail a lot, and that's okay. That's the best part. When you don't get it right, and you keep going at it, and you still don't get it right, but you're getting close to getting to that. You know?
Yeah. I actually will kind of say an example of failing and learning from experiences related to validation, but I was on a trip with a friend, and I had only known this person for like a couple months, so I wouldn't say that I was close friends with them, but I was a friend, and like we were doing this together kind of thing. And I was the only one with a driver's license, so I was the only one that could drive. And I didn't mind that. I like driving, so I didn't mind driving. But I think once I was done driving that day, I was expecting like a thank you right after that we got out of the car. Or even just like a couple minutes after we got out of the car. I was like,
dude,
I
thank
wonder
you
where
for
the
helping.
thank you is.
I mean, seriously, you know, if you drove fucking 5 hours, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I was expecting something like that, but it wasn't coming. And I will say we were trying to find a place. We were trying to find a location, so maybe because we were trying to find a location, they were busy to not say that right away. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, like I kind of put myself in the other person's shoes a lot to see what they think, and I still kind of agreed to myself that if I was in their shoes, I think I would still say thank you right away. But I know that people are different. Like, people aren't me, so they may handle things differently, and maybe that's why I didn't hear thank you until... I actually didn't hear thank you until I said something, and I kind of said it in a very passive-aggressive way, where it's just like, we were both really tired after the drive, and like I think like 5 minutes after parking and walking around and doing our thing, I said like, oh, you're welcome for driving you, kind of in a passive-aggressive way, and I know that I shouldn't have done that, and that's kind of like that's rude to be passive aggressive, but that's what I mean when I say I think I expect things and then I get disappointed when it doesn't happen.
True.
Yeah. True. And I think I should work on like not expecting too much and disappointing myself, and also realizing that people aren't me, so they don't think like me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they should, but you're right.
No, I don't have to think like me.
No.
But yeah. Yeah.
All right. Anything else before I ask you my last question? I'm loving what you've asked so far. I hope you know that.
Yay, so. I'm glad. Oh, yeah, okay. So this one actually is kind of not related to what we're talking about, but I wanted to ask it.
That's fine.
Because I think about this a lot.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so do you think that people are meant to stick to one career for the rest of their lives? Or do you think human brains are meant to explore new things all the time? This can go with careers, hobbies, and relationships too. So when I say like relationships,
You mean
there's
monogamous relationships, or do you mean connections with people?
I mean connections and also like monogamy. And it even crosses into like being a cheater. To where I'm not condoning like cheating at all. I think cheating is bad and I never agree with cheating. But like, are people kind of wired to try new things? But that can go with like a relationship, hobbies, or careers. So what do you think?
So do I think that people... Wait, repeat the question just one more time, just to be sure, because I want to make sure I get every part of it.
Yeah. The main question is, do you think that people are meant to stick to one career for the rest of their lives?
So
or
that's
do you think
the first part? And
that's
then
the first
second-
question, yeah.
So, and then we'll go to the second part.
Yeah.
Okay, so do I think that people are meant to stay in one career, essentially, the whole time? In the past, meaning before 2008, specifically before the recession, I would agree with that. I think, even though I was a fucking child at the time, but I do believe people were meant to stay in one career because you had this vision of what the American dream was, right? So you go to school, graduate with a bachelor's, graduate with a master's, become a lawyer, doctor, work in Capitol buildings and shit like that. So you had one end game.
Yeah.
Right, and they have kids. Maybe post 2008, when the recession happened, everything you worked for, it crumbled down potentially because people lost jobs, people became homeless, all this shit happened. So you had to adapt, and that's the beauty of human beings. We learn how to adapt into situations, or we can at least. Not everybody has the ability to do that because they haven't unlocked that. But us as human beings, this is why we're so good at coming back sometimes from a very intense heartbreak. Because if we weren't good at adapting, we would have kept having that heartbreak with us for years and years. And the thing is, there's a lot of people who do have that. So going back to it, now in this day and age, I unless you have a very traditionalist mentality, it's not just one career.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to be working from a credit union to a bank to Wall Street. Not everybody has that. Some people, it's, I'm going to work with kids, and then I'm going to work at Starbucks, and then I'm going to work at Macy's.
Yeah.
And maybe a movie theater somewhere in between there, and then eventually maybe a fashion design company.
Yeah.
Maybe if I worked and I networked well enough.
Yeah. I kind of asked that question because I think I'm at a point of my life, being a recent graduate, where like I want to try a lot of different things, and the idea of sticking to one career kind of scares me.
Yeah.
So that's why I asked that question. Like, do you think human brains and the human mind is meant to hop around to different things? Well, you already answered that. But yeah, do you think like the human mind is meant to try different things and adapt, or stick to one, thing?
I highly recommend even yourself. It's a boring ass long book, but it's a great book. Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature, and it comes down to, and kind of brought it up earlier, every single person has the same 6 or whatever amount of qualities. We all have them, and it's easy to navigate and know what a person thinks and is because of these qualities and traits. Now, once again, not everybody is going to be like able to adapt. Some people just stay as they are, but it's important for you to fear that you're going to be stuck in one career. It's important. It's good, because that means in the future, let's say if you do stay with one career, let's say you go work for Pixar.
Yeah.
Sure. What happens when Disney decides to dissolve Pixar?
Yeah.
You all your life you only known how to draw. I mean, you can go work for a different company, sure,
Yeah.
but then you got to remember your colleagues are also fighting for that exact same position. What are you gonna do?
Adapt.
You gotta adapt.
Yeah.
Maybe you're gonna get into tattooing. Perfect, awesome.
Did I mention that I wanted?
You did.
Oh,
You
I did. Okay, yeah.
That's why I'm using it as an example. Eventually, you're gonna get into tattooing. You have that option.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get into fashion design, clothing. I've seen your Spirited Away jeans.
Yeah, textile
Textile
design.
You already have 3 different things that you can do. You adapted just in case. But not only did you adapt, those are your passions. That's your hobby.
Actually, to go off of that, adapting, I agree. Like, it's like a smart thing to do, and people just instinctually do it, and that's what I'm doing, adapting and learning different things. But I also worry that I spread myself too thin, and I actually think of this quote a lot, where it's like, you've heard of this, but jack of all trades, master of none.
You're the Joker. You're basically you
Yeah.
played Persona, or you've heard of Persona, the game?
Persona.
It's a game.
I've heard of
Okay.
it, but I don't know what it's about.
You're so they use like the what's it called, the tarot cards.
Tarot cards, yeah.
Yeah, and there's like the main character, he's the Joker, meaning he can do everything in a sense.
yeah.
So that's what you are. You're
Yeah. I think about that a lot, but that's not really it's not really a good quote, because it means that jack of all trades, you do a lot of things, which is good, but you're not a master of any of them. And I worry about that a lot, where like I have a lot of different ideas and passions, but I'm not professionals in any of them yet. So I feel like sometimes I spread myself too thin.
Let me ask you, in that case then, why should you allow yourself to follow a quote that, I mean, don't get me wrong, follow the quote, but why should you allow yourself to find yourself by a specific ending of a quote? Just because you're not a master of everything doesn't mean you can't be a master of everything.
Yeah. Just to answer that, I worry about that because that's what at least corporate companies expect you to grow like that. I mean, they will specify if they're hiring a junior designer or a senior designer. And, people work up to be senior levels. Like, that's what corporation is. You work up to be a professional in what you're doing. And that's how career jobs are structured, to learn and then become the best in what you're doing. So I think it's a lot of pressure for me as like a design graduate with a design degree to be a master in design eventually, even though I want to do like 6 different things. So yeah.
But you also, I mean, I agree with you. Just putting it out there too, you do have to keep in consideration that you're not the only one who's fighting for these positions.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of politics involved when it comes to moving up like that. So that doesn't mean you're not good at what you do. That just means potentially that this person that's,
they focused their
attention
time and attention on one
somebody
thing.
Somebody else. So I think you can. So I don't think I'm a master at my photography. A lot of people would beg to differ, but I can see why they would say that I'm a master at my photography. And I could agree with them, but if I agree with them, I feel like I could become stagnant in what I do. So it's a curse and a blessing, right? Like,
yeah,
what you're doing, you're right. you focus your attention on a lot of things, and you might not reach that level of being a master, I guess, but that allows you to strive to get there. And it should never ever be a point in your life where you're like, all right, I'm done, I'm good at this.
Yeah.
You should just keep striving and striving.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, even though you might be a master, it's good to have that mindset to keep like progressing.
Always.
Yeah. And then the other part of the question was that I said this question can go with careers, hobbies, or relationships. So I guess let's talk about the relationship part. I guess what I mean by that is, like, do you think the human mind is meant to either be polyamorous or try new things in their relationship, as far as like actually trying new different scary things with their partner together?
New sex positions.
Yes. I didn't want to say that loud, but
no, it's okay, I'll say it.
Yeah. And then also, sorry, too, the last thing about that is that people like to argue that people cheat, or cheating is common because people want a new, different thing. And like, even though I kind of think that humans always do want new, different things, and I think that's healthy when it comes to like knowing yourself.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's a good argument for cheating with someone.
A reason why you should cheat?
Yeah, but people argue that. And
so we already have two things in that one, in that question. So it's two different things. So I guess
let's talk about the
let's go with the cheating. Actually, I feel like the cheating would go into trying different things out with relationships. Do you know what's the main reason why there's divorces in the United States?
Because there's no communication.
Money.
Money.
Below that, affairs. So money and affairs. And there's more below that. I agree with you. Cheating is bad. Actually, my dad cheated on my mom. This is why we stopped talking. Me and my dad stopped talking for like 3 years until 2019. I agree cheating is bad, but the reason why people cheat, while it can be various of factors, it's never because of one thing. It's usually because there's a lack of something. Usually.
Yeah.
The other part is because they might be
bored.
No. So another book that I like a lot called The Truth by Neil Strauss. Long story short, the guy cheated on his girl. He went to sex therapy. He ended up leaving sex therapy, got back with his girl. He told him he couldn't do it anymore, and he became from monogamous to polyamorous. And he said that wasn't his thing, and then he ended up marrying the same girl he cheated on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
That's the short version of it. It's an amazing book. I like it a lot. But when people cheat, it's never because of one thing. It's important to understand that. I think we always notice it as, oh, you're bored, or oh, you just couldn't communicate. I agree, you couldn't communicate your wants and needs. So it's important to know that there is always a lack of something, which is why the reason people cheat. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean it's the fault of the person being cheated on. But also, and I'm going to use my parents as an example. My mom always fought with my dad about a lot of things. And she would scream the fuck at him. So for my dad to cheat while I disagree completely with what he did, I could see the steps of why he did what he did.
Yeah.
Right. So in a perfect world, where people communicated and people could have been cool with each other, my dad should have been like, look, I think either we take a break and maybe have an open marriage, which would be weird as fuck. But knowing the things that I know now about my dad, it would make sense.
But it wasn't really like even a thought with people of that generation to have open marriages, you know? It's more like a modern thing now.
It is definitely a more modern thing now. True. But it's more of like just a communication of like what's going on.
Yeah.
Instead of him cheating, he probably should have been the one initiating the actual divorce because of the violence that happened in our household. Not a lot of people know about that. Now, going back to what we're talking about, where do you think that people should be more open or receptive to trying new things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's scary when you tell your partner that you want to try bondage. It's very scary because you've known this person your whole life, or not your whole life. You've known this person for a long time. Excuse me. I'm thinking about the marriage part. I'm thinking about the marriage part. That's why your whole life. You've known this person for a long time, and all of a sudden they come out that they want whips and chains.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird to think about.
Yeah.
But there's so much more behind it, and that goes back to destigmatizing a lot of things. And on top of that, I mean, you got to think of it this way too. Like, how hard is it for somebody to tell somebody that they're attracted to them in general? Like, that's hard.
Yeah.
Because you're afraid of the rejection, you're afraid of what they're going to think of you. Actually, sometimes you're even afraid of the potential friendship that you might ruin, even though both of y'all might have the communication already where it's like, we're still going to be friends and shit.
Mm-hmm.
If you get past the fact that y'all already communicated that you like each other, and then the whole new thing comes into play that you want to try different shit, that's a whole different fear now. Or it's the same realm, but it's like a fear, huge ass fear. So it's hard, and I can understand why a lot of people don't try out different new things.
Yeah.
I can understand it.
Well, because they don't know about it, so.
They don't know about it, or they don't know also how to communicate it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to approach it, right? I mean, fuck, dude. Like, you said it earlier, you know, should people try polyamory or should people be polyamorous? If this was me, I'm 28 now, 4 years ago.
Not like should, but like, should people be open
to it? Okay, so people
idea.
should be open to it. If this was me 4 years ago, I would say yes, because I was in a polyamorous relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had a partner, and these women had their own partners also, and I had other, you know, so I would have said yes.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to me being 28 now, where I'm at a point in my life where I really should start thinking about having a family.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should try it out as soon as you can in your life.
Yeah.
That way, when you're older, you can decide on if it's something you want to try or not. Because the longer you prolong it, the more aggressive it potentially can be for you in your future.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Definitely. And, you know, in this situation, I saw it with my mom, especially after my dad's divorce with her. My mom essentially reverted back to a teenager. My mom partied like a motherfucker. And there were times where I had to bail her out from jail. It was fun. God. It was so much fun.
Oh my god,
dude! Me and my mom were cool. Like, I'm just gonna say it right now. Me and my mom were super cool, and we laugh at it.
She's wildin'.
Oh, she was wildin' back then. She, you know, this was what, like 3, 4, 5 years ago. So her acting out all these things, it was because she suppressed so much when she was younger, and she never tried out these different things. So, going back to it, I think it's important to try different sex positions, I guess. It's important to try different things, because eventually when you grow older, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be like, fuck, I wish I tried this. Fuck, I wish I went out with that person. Fuck.
Yeah.
I wish I went out clubbing.
Yeah.
And now that you're older, you can do it, but it's just not going to be the same anymore. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah.
So I say give it a shot beforehand. If you haven't, if it's something you want to try though, if it's something that you're curious about, but of course you have to be accepting of the potential repercussions that it comes with.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really asking the question as I'm very curious in trying it, because I actually, the kind of a follow-up thing is like, do you think that polyamory is just another definition for cheating but with an excuse?
No, because you're communicating.
Mm-hmm.
There's already a communication in place. I mean, yeah, actually, we should say, we're not talking specifically about you. Right?
Yeah.
This is just a general conversation, because this is stuff also that I've gone through in my life. I've done a lot of shit in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, also, like, I want to know these things for if at all my future partner, like, wants to bring it up and be like, oh, what do you think about polyamory? Like, I kind of want to know more about it and wonder if it's an okay thing or not.
Well, I mean, also keep in mind, I'm just one person. I don't think...
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You know, personal experience, once again, so it's all anecdotal. Do I think it's a good thing? You're spreading yourself very thin in a lot of aspects. If you have a lot of love to give and you have a lot of time, I mean, give it a shot, I guess. But you know, sometimes life gets so busy. I mean, you can even handle one partner. How are you going to be able to handle multiple partners, right? It's all fun and games when you're in a bed with like 2 other people, sure, but you got to think about after that too. Who's going to take the most time of you? Or who are you going to give the most time to?
Yeah.
And on top of that, emotions are a bitch. So who am I going to feel more towards someone? Like, you know, one person might feel more towards me. I might not feel that exact same amount of level of emotion towards them. So somebody's going to get hurt in that situation.
Yeah.
It's important. It goes back to what I was saying. It's the repercussions of it.
Yeah.
When you have a partner, in general, you know, it's important to understand where people are coming from when they say something or when they ask something. That doesn't mean you should agree with it. That doesn't mean you should be like, yeah, let's do it. And then you know in your heart you just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because then that's cheating. That's cheating yourself, if anything, but you're cheating. It's... Were you saying that if, you know, polyamory is cheating? I don't think it's cheating as long as there's a communication involved in it of every single thing that's being communicated. You know, what are the boundaries? Can you be intimate with another person? Some people consider being emotionally there for somebody as cheating also.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, you got to keep these things in mind. You know, fuck, dude. Like, I guess even going back at it, my photography, people would consider if when I was in relationships, I mean, they consider that cheating because I was seeing another woman nude, and I can understand where they're coming from. You know, so it's that communication of, all right, what is considered cheating? What is considered overstepping boundaries? What is considered just the okay in this, right?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that was kind of my last question. Okay. But did you want to ask a question?
I will ask you my last question, which is the question that I ask everybody.
Sure.
But just to be sure, nothing else needs to be brought up?
No.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we actually covered a lot.
Yeah, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So the reason why I made this podcast is... Have you ever heard of the word catalyst? Okay, yeah. So you know what it is. Okay, cool. I don't have to...
Sort of.
Okay, so a catalyst is, scientifically speaking, it's a chemical that makes another chemical react faster instead of it being reacting on its own. Okay.
Okay.
So a catalyst is a person who gives advice or talks to somebody, and it makes them jump forward versus if they were to have learned on their own. Okay.
Yeah.
What is the one thing that you've learned so far in your life that you would give out to that one person or multiple people that are listening to this? What is that one thing you would tell them?
Oh my God.
It
That's a big question.
It is a big question. I usually get that a lot. It could be from what we talked about, everything that we talked about, which probably would relate closely to it, but it could just be something you've learned so far in your life.
Yeah. Well, I think a big piece of advice is, like, I learned that people kind of, and I guess society in general, kind of like wanted me to go on a certain pathway. I mean, it's still kind of prevalent, like go to college, get a career, have 2.5 kids, work in corporation.
2.5 kids.
2.5, yeah.
Okay.
2.5 is usually exactly what they say.
Okay.
Work in corporation. And I think an advice is like, just kind of whatever you have a passion for. I would definitely consider looking into it and making it a fund, a like financial thing, like it funds you in a way.
F-U-N-D, not F-U-N.
Yeah, F-U-N-D.
Okay, cool.
It funds you.
Okay.
Funds you. I don't know. There's not an indication on the difference. But yeah, because like growing up, like for some reason, I never really thought outside the box, and I wasn't aware of nothing else but like following, like societal norms, going to college, getting that degree, getting a job, stuff like that. But I kind of realized that you only have one life. Like, we're one rock floating in nowhere, space. So it's just like, why are there so many rules on this earth that like all of us have to kind of follow? But I realized that I could do whatever I wanted to do as far as career wise and like being my own person. So yeah, I mean, I think one thing I would say to people is kind of think about what you actually want to do in life, and don't think that going into a corporate business is what you need to do, basically. And whatever passion you have, it's also good to maybe make that a thing that actually financially supports you, because then it makes it fun to make money. So I think that's kind of my advice, because I didn't realize that until like during college or after college. I had no idea about that in high school, and I was just following what other people did in high school. So I guess if people are listening to this that are like not in college yet, or even in college or past college, like it's, you
If
do
you're
what
not
you
in
want.
college yet and you're not of the age of legalities, why the fuck are you watching this, first and foremost?
Yeah.
Welcome, but what the fuck, bro?
I know. But maybe that's kind of a little bit of a lame answer.
It's
but-
not a lame answer. I'm taking a pause for a reason. I really want you to know, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I've known you for a while. And don't get me wrong, the first year we probably didn't talk after that night, at the Halloween party. But I've seen your growth as best as possible. the things you say now is not something you would have said in 2019. Yeah, that was the last when we first shot.
Yeah.
It's not what you would have said. I really hope you understand that what you're saying undoubtedly will help so many other people. And I hope if they're younger than you, older than you, I hope they listen to what you're saying, because I believe it's 1,000,000,000% true.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't one way of approaching life in any way.
Yeah.
And also the beauty of what you're saying is that you are a living example and will be even more in depth a living example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So don't ever forget what you're trying to do. Don't let other people or other situations discourage you.
Yeah.
Keep going at it. And I'm going to tell you, I know you were saying jokingly, but in nowhere near is that lame. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Of course. All right.
Thanks. Yeah. I think I'm kind of a hypocrite.
Stop.
No, I'm just saying that because, like, I also am still learning from what I'm saying. You know, like,
Of
I'm
course.
saying this out loud to whoever's listening, but also to myself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and you're probably going to go back to this one day.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll hear and you'll probably be reminded of what your end goal is or what you're trying to do. That's not a hypocrite. That's somebody who is learning.
Yeah.
That's somebody who's learning.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah. I don't know if I could say multiple notes.
Huh?
I don't know if I could say multiple inspiration
Quotes?
things. Yeah.
Yeah, if you want.
But
Yeah. What do you want to say?
well, it's weird because, like,
Mm.
I can't really pick it up right now, but I know that I would like to share something else that is a lot, I guess, deeper, because I've been through some deep shit. But I feel like there's another thing, like, I want to definitely share, but I just really can't think of it. But maybe I'll tell you it another day or something.
You know what? You're more than welcome to ever come back on here if you just want to say what you feel.
Yeah.
I hope you know. I know it's not like this big ass studio or anything like that, but this space that you're here right now,
Mm-hmm.
you're always more than welcome to just come and just be like, I want you to shut the fuck up. And you would tell me that. And you would just be like, I just want to say some things. And we can record it. You could keep it. We could post it, whatever. We don't have to post it. But you're always more than welcome to just hit me up and come over here and record something.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, it sounds good.
All right. You wanna give me a high five?
Yes. Hey, nice job.
Good job.
Welcome back to the end of the JTX podcast. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I added the catalyst moment from the previous episode, but not a lot of people probably saw it, or, I mean, I couldn't give my own catalyst, I guess. And in reality, I will save that for another time. But regardless, if you enjoyed the podcast, please feel free to give a like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to on an app, podcasting app, 5 stars, whatever they do, hey, show some love. And if you don't like it, do what you need to do. I honestly don't care at this point. With that being said, y'all, thank you so much. And remember, we've done shit, we've been through shit, and we caused shit. That doesn't mean we can't change today to be somebody's catalyst for a better tomorrow. Take it easy, y'all.